Roles and responsibilities. Meeting individual needs. Learners have different degrees of competence, and some will have particular needs. It is critical that the instructor knows this while organizing a class or session, delivering lessons, and conducting assessments. Differentiation is a buzzword in the business that has been around for a while. Teachers should constantly be aware that pupils in a class will have a range of abilities. Successful lessons or courses will challenge both the A-star student and the student who is struggling to pass. This is undoubtedly a significant task for all teachers in all schools and universities, but it is doable, provided the teachers are ready and have access to a wealth of materials. Inclusion is also important in fulfilling the needs of individual students. It's critical to keep everyone in the class active and interested in the topic being taught. In every classroom or training session, there will always be a variety of personalities, each of whom will react to the situation differently. This is not always practicable in shorter courses, as a trainer or teacher may have to react at the start of the day and evaluate any special requirements. Someone with a vision handicap, for example, may want to sit closer to the front, which may be readily accommodated without disrupting the rest of the group. In conclusion, anyone considering a career in teaching or training has a lot to think about. Knowing your students well is essential for developing rapport and trust in the group. The responsibilities. A teacher's daily responsibilities as an educator include a number of different jobs that they must play. Clearly, tailoring a course to a student's needs plays a big part in the classroom. Whether you specialize in special education or not, you probably work with students who have emotional or learning impairments, dyslexia, ADHD, anxiety disorders, or are on the autistic spectrum. Every teacher must believe in and comprehend the idea that all of their students should derive the same hopes, education, and goals for the future from their learning. On the other hand, teachers need to be aware that they may encounter students with various dynamics throughout their profession. The key distinction is that some pupils will learn more quickly than others. Once more, they will instruct students who are in some way challenged or disabled. In light of this, it is essential for a teacher to recognize and cater to each learner's requirements without bias, adapting lessons to meet learners' needs. Consider important factors. Every pupil learns differently. Each kid behaves and performs differently as a result of their unique package and certain essential aspects that influence them in some way. Younger children are the most diverse groups. They perform differently because of cultural variances, socio-economic background, social and family upbringing, and overall educational development. To put it another way, teachers must recognize that various learners come from diverse households. Knowing all of this, teachers must develop diverse teaching styles and alter instruction to offer students equitable learning chances. This focuses on the specific issues and requirements of pupils. Understanding these elements is one way to embrace student diversity. Modify your instructions. Students are diverse. As a result, employing a single teaching technique to accommodate all learning types is not advised. Communicating the lesson to students who have varying learning needs necessitates further adaptations and applications. These adjustments will generally aid students with learning disabilities. Your students will feel less concerned and less anxious about their talents if you make real changes. You can change how you inspire them or how the lesson is presented to them. Instructions can be changed in a variety of ways. Be aware of their requirements. You can employ collaborative groups and peer tutoring in your class. By utilizing the advanced skills of fast learners, individuals who are having trouble mastering the competency will be able to participate constructively in the learning activities. Similarly, if some of your learners have a short attention span, why not shorten your presentations or offer the concerned individuals more time to complete the exercises without sacrificing the essentials? Magnify differentiated instructions. The adaptation of diversified instruction to give learners equal opportunities to succeed in class strongly supports the notion of effective instruction. Addressing our kids' particular requirements is a daunting task because it necessitates a significant amount of work in the actual world. Some elements of the plan cannot be implemented due to actual events in the classroom. To maximize your learners' potential, you must adapt your teaching methods and tailor-fit your created activities while remaining consistent with your specific learning objectives across all students. It's a bad idea to punish students for rushing through your lectures, even if some of them need to learn the skill. You can use the scaffolding strategy to demonstrate the instructional content and skills to be taught gradually. This will allow you to recognize all of your learners' abilities, and they will also be able to obtain learning content. Practice collaboration. Collaboration among teachers has a tremendous impact on student learning. As a community of teachers working together and sharing their best teaching approaches, student learning and achievement will practically increase. Furthermore, drawing on diverse practices and viewpoints in increasing learner performance might assist you in adjusting and adapting your teaching approaches to your learners' requirements. By clearly knowing the outcomes and impact of a particular teaching technique, you know what it can do to your groups of learners. As a result, student learning becomes a collaborative effort. As a result, as an educator, you must be aware of the incredible benefits of collaboration in education. You should be bold and contact others and come together to share resources, strategies, and anything else related to teaching and learning. Develop a positive attitude toward diversity. When you first start teaching, you might be completely overwhelmed by how diverse your students are. However, as you progress through your teaching career, you realize that you must approach student diversity with optimism. By implementing several learning activities in the classroom, your students will be more confident in their ability to learn since they will have various options to pick from. As a result, kids will recognize their self-identity and make the most of their many interests. Teaching and learning are long processes, and no single approach can meet all children's demands. As a result, as educators, you embrace your students and give them classroom experiences that allow them to communicate and collaborate with their peers. Build stronger teaching and learning relationships with students. Do the learning activities promote the development of positive relationships among students? Are they encouraged to interact with their classmates and with you as their teacher? If the answer is yes, you are developing a strong teaching and learning relationship with your group of students. The more your pupils trust you as their teacher, the more they interact and show their true identity, and it will be easier for you to tailor learning lessons to meet them where they are. You will fully understand your students' skills through your day-to-day contact with them, which will give you suggestions about how they learn and interact. Furthermore, this method will allow you to create a friendly and warm learning environment. Equally important, you will have the opportunity to demonstrate your love and concern for them, which is one of the most critical aspects of successful learning. Policies and procedures. There will be organizational policies and procedures to follow, such as appeals, complaints, misconduct, plagiarism and risk assessments. If you are employed, you should have received a contract of employment and an employee handbook, which should include your organization's codes of practice. Alternatively, they might be available electronically. If you are a work-based trainer, you may have to design your training and assessment activities around the company's policies and procedures, sometimes called method statements or work instructions. These will usually have the relevant legislation, such as aspects of health and safety, built into them. There are codes of practice which will apply if you belong to a professional association, for example, the Institute for Learning, IFL, which is the independent professional body for teachers, tutors, trainers and trainee teachers in the further education and skills sector. IFL Code of Professional Practice, 2008. This was introduced by the Institute for Learning, IFL, to cover the activities of its members. The code is based on 7 behaviors. 1. Professional integrity. 2. Respect. 3. Reasonable care. 4. Professional practice. 5. Criminal offense disclosure. 6. Responsibility during institute investigations. 7. Responsibility. Working according to the organizational policy and procedures. An organization must have policies in place to give guidance to staff and to ensure compliance. This helps staff to perform their role correctly and know the lines of accountability. Policies should include confidentially, data protection, duty of care, misconduct, plagiarism, safeguarding. Think of the policy as a statement of intent. There will also be a procedure, which is how the policy will be put into action. Policies are an essential element of any organization, particularly education, in order to maintain consistency and create a safe, inclusive learning environment. Teaching organizations will have a wide selection of policies for both staff and students, often ranging from a teacher development process policy to a student trips policy. Codes of practice. A code of practice is a set of written rules regarding how people should behave. They can be mandatory or voluntary, and they help people to perform their roles professionally. Your organization will have codes of practice, such as dress, sustainability, timekeeping. Policies that will have an impact. Appeals, if you have a learner who might dispute your assessment decision of their work. Complaints, if you don't like the way another member of staff has treated you. Copyright, if you need to photocopy aspects of a textbook. Equality and diversity, if you are not happy with the access to certain facilities. Health and safety, if you will be working with hazardous materials. Teaching, learning and assessment cycle. The teaching, learning, and assessment cycle is a methodical procedure that enables you to guarantee that your students have a positive learning experience and can successfully complete their objectives. For effective learning, all stages of the cycle should be addressed. The process can begin at any moment and continue indefinitely. Quality assurance should be carried out continuously to guarantee that learning is occurring and that all components are supplied, assessed, and reported fairly and accurately. 1. Identifying needs. Arranging for appropriate initial and diagnostic tests to be conducted, for instance, to determine existing abilities and knowledge. Participating in advertising events to promote the program. Conducting interviews with learners. Identifying any obstacles or difficulties with learning. Determining any specific needs of the learner, the self, or the organization. Determining preferred learning styles. Being aware of the limitations that have to be dealt with. Taking part in recruitment efforts. Wearing appropriate attire. Making sure learners are in the appropriate program at the appropriate level. Adhering to organizational rules and regulations. Providing pertinent information, counsel, and direction. Assisting learners with funding or grants. Maintaining records. Maintaining discretion. When required, directing learners to other professionals or organizations. Running a criminal background check. 2. Planning learning. Completing individual education plans. Participating in curriculum development. Creating a work schedule and lesson plans. Communicating with people. Arranging when and what will be taught. Creating resources and activities for teaching and learning. Executing risk analyses. Working together with others. Establishing and maintaining a welcoming, accommodating, secure, and safe learning environment. Having a backup plan. Getting a copy of the material that will be taught and evaluated. Choosing appropriate goals. Creating achievable goals. 3. Facilitating learning. Fulfilling pertinent administrative obligations. Conducting tutorial reviews. Establishing foreground rules. Introducing learners to the program and organization. Upholding your responsibility to look out for your students. Enrolling students in tests and qualifications, or liaising with a person who will effectively use icebreakers and energizers. Using inclusive and interesting teaching methods. Engaging learners through a variety of teaching and learning techniques and activities. Using acceptable language and behavior. Behaving honorably and professionally. Having the necessary training and experience to teach your subject. Appropriate and efficient communication with students. Filling out attendance logs. Addressing behavioral problems as they arise. Activating and promoting learning. Adhering to applicable laws, rules, and standards of conduct. Addressing absence. Assisting students as necessary, aiding students in acquiring English, maths, and digital skills. Utilizing technology in sessions. Maintaining a record of what was taught and to whom. Staying current on advancements pertaining to your subject. Keeping a respectful working relationship with students. Keeping an eye on timeliness and attendance. Encouraging, involving, and motivating students. Avoid imposing your opinions, values, and ideas on your students. Encouraging proper conduct and consideration for others. Setting up and cleaning up the area prior to and following each session. Making use of the right tools and resources. 4. Assessing learning. Measuring accomplishment and development. Ensuring that judgments are accurate, dependable, equitable, and moral. Accurately interpreting the assessment requirements. Keeping track of each learner's accomplishments. Creating tools for summative and formative assessments that are realistic. Sharing common judgments with others. Evaluating work within a predetermined time frame. Verifying plagiarism, if necessary. Providing students with comments. Educating students about their appeals rights. Maintaining discretion. Making use of the right tools and resources. Using a range of assessment techniques. 5. Evaluating learning. Attending conferences. Assessing the effectiveness of the program's planning and execution. Enhancing the method of instruction and learning. Participating in organizational CAR procedures. Sharing best practices with others. Promoting the growth and advancement of learners. Assessing each lesson you taught, as well as the methods and resources employed for teaching and learning. Assisting students in realizing their full potential. Continuing education, topic knowledge, and professional growth. Getting regular input from students and others. Roles in teaching. Whether you teach or train in a business, a college, or another training environment, your major responsibility should involve and engage your students actively during every session. But it's not only about instructing and preparing, it's also about the learning that results from those activities. No matter how hard you try to teach, your efforts are in vain if students aren't learning anything. The work of a teacher or trainer is no different from other professions in that it can be difficult and demanding. The position can be highly satisfying, especially when you observe your learners' successes and achievements as a direct result of your support and commitment. In a formal assessment, information can be confirmed through questions, or abilities can be confirmed by observation of practice. It can also be casual by incorporating discussions, quizzes, and chores. You will only know what has been learned if you assess. You should always speak clearly, at a suitable volume, and in words your students can comprehend when you are with them. Making your lessons appealing to your students will keep them interested in the material, keep them motivated, and leave them wanting to learn more. You ought to be involved in every stage of the learning process, from when the students apply to when they succeed. Whether you teach or train a brief event, a lengthier program or a qualification, your job description as a teacher or trainer will rely on the subject matter. Additionally, it will depend on your organization's needs, the setting you are in, and the age and experience of your learners. Being interested and passionate about your subject, being approachable, and having pride in your job are all qualities of a good teacher or trainer that should be communicated to your students while you are working with them. Your ability to make a good first impression on your students will help you develop a productive working relationship. Your appearance, demeanor, response to inquiries, and level of support will all have an impact on your students. They won't necessarily need personal information about you to make inferences about you. Avoid revealing any information about your personal life. Acting professionally and without being too amiable will win people's respect. With their students, most teachers are familiar faces. Establishing routines will make your sessions run more smoothly. For instance, always starting on time, defining and adhering to time restrictions for activities and breaks, and terminating on time. Thank you. See you in the next module.